live, and we're late this morning because of a detour.
On Broadway.
A detour on Broadway. The neon lights are bright on Broadway.
Actually, they're not. But they used to be, maybe.
Anyway, it's Biz Ball. And Constance and I are going to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
No, we're not.
One.
No, I don't sing. Hopefully.
Anyway, yes, we are a little late.
Maybe the Fugs.
But this is the second parking lot, and we would have been a little earlier, but there was a detour on Broadway. And I'm sure you don't care. But anyway, it's a beautiful, gusty. It's a gusty day.
It was 90 yesterday, but it's going to be maybe to 70 today. So
Yeah.
I'm back to my 4 layers of clothing, but that's halfway reason because the stores are so cold. I have to bundle up.
Well, let's let you speak directly. I'm going to, what? She's hitting me. She's hitting me. Let's see, how do I turn this around?
I thought you were going to say what your show is going to be about.
Oh, my show is going to, it's Shakespeare's birthday, or they think it's almost Shakespeare's birthday. Whatever it is, it's National Speak Like Shakespeare Day. And it's also National Picnic Day. And we're pissed off about
We heard on the news today.
what we heard in Grants Pass, Oregon, where we used to go and they used to abuse us as hippies in Grants Pass.
Well, we didn't go often enough for them to abuse us seriously, but
The sheriff abused us.
was that the sheriff who came to our house?
Yes. And he accused us of lewd cohabitation.
Well, that's because my parents sent priests and sheriffs after us.
And the priests had dogs,
Well, yeah.
Dobermans,
Big ones.
in
And a Mercedes.
their Mercedes.
They were cool. They were all fine with us by the time we were through. We had to prove we had a marriage certificate where Zen Buddhist rites were performed for us
Yes.
because we were married by a stage hypnotist, and we got to write what it was ourselves. And we figured that was good enough.
It must have
Good
worked.
telling.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Grants Pass, they made it against the law. They provide no shelter for homeless people, but they arrest homeless people that try to fall asleep
In a public place.
in a park.
They're prohibiting anyone taking a pillow or a blanket to a public place.
So-
as if you couldn't picnic with pillows and blankets or wrap up a baby, or it's a stupid law anyway. It's when people, if you want to stop, maybe they should think of having a nice bus and a shelter where they come and offer people a bowl of soup and homemade bread and a bed for the night instead of arresting people. I don't think they have room in their jails for that anyway.
Well, thank God it's also National Speak Like Shakespeare Day. Otherwise, we'd talk about this all day. But anyway, what were you going to say about Shakespeare?
Is it my turn now?
And Shakespeare and
And am I going to talk now?
sure,
Have I been on all this time?
yeah.
You did it again to me.
No, I told you.
Okay, this is the last time I'm coming. Anyway, yeah, Lon told me that it was National Shakespeare Day, and he was going to talk like Shakespeare Day, whatever that is. I like these national days, Donut Day and stuff. Anyway, I have a strange Shakespeare experience from high school. I don't know if I was a junior or a senior, but
And what year was Shakespeare? We're that old. We went to school with Shakespeare.
no. Well, I did actually, but we were studying. We did not study. I had a very good, nice English teacher, but we were studying something else that either
Melville.
Oh, if it was Melville. It wasn't Melville. It was something else. I hated Melville. Anyway, we would have periods to read, I think, in our class, or we have to have our books open and do something along with the teacher, I think. And, the classic kid thing to do is to put a comic book or a dime novel, whatever,
Captain Billy's Whiz Bang.
inside of your book and hold it up and completely ignore the teacher. Well, the teacher was pretty much on top of stuff, and she could tell if your eyes were not ever coming up from what you were doing to pay attention to class. And I had a book hidden inside of my my English book, whatever it was, and it was Shakespeare's love sonnets. Because I was a teenager in Nebraska, desperate for real learning, and it was romantic and beautiful, and I was enamored of Shakespeare and Emily Dickinson and Browning and a few others too.
Mickey Spillane.
No, that was Lon. How did we ever get together? Anyway, but so, and the teacher starts to go, get kind of infuriated. What are you, in front of the whole class, and the class kind of gets this hush, and nobody ever beats up on her. Who cares? Anyway, and when I showed her what I was reading, she just sort of went, "Oh, pay attention to class now," or something. And afterwards, everybody kept saying, "That book saved you." I mean, because no one sneaks Shakespeare.
Evil little girl brought into English class.
Shakespeare. So anyway, that's my Shakespeare story.
Oh, we used to do Midsummer Night's Dream in the backyard.
For many years.
For many years. It was such fun.
Steve Abbott and Jean Paul and other people who would come. And sometimes we'd just do it in the house. Sometimes we'd do it in the backyard. We'd read our parts, of course, but you can still chew the scenery.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was just good for all of us. So I recommend you all just read a little Shakespeare today. It makes your brain work differently. And it takes a while. You think, oh, I can't read it. I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to start reading Shakespeare because your brain is, even in the 60s, is not, you're too much attached to slang, and now people, what's that called on the typing thing on your phone? Text. See, I don't have phones. People text, and they don't use entire words of anything anymore, or entire thoughts. So you have to kind of get your brain. It's a good brain exercise to read a little Shakespeare, and he speaks the truth 100% of the time.
Even when the character's lying, the truth is coming out. Yeah,
and he's quite funny in places and scary truthful in other places. But it's always the truth. You can trust that. So, and he practically invented the English language.
Yeah, he invented many words.
So
and that's another thing. It's he would invent words that they're like new words, but what he was doing was communicating something. You knew what he was saying. There's a phrase about dying where you go to that undiscovered land from whose bourne no traveler returns. Bourne. You know exactly what he's talking about, but what the fuck was born? Okay. They still don't know exactly. I'm sure we can find it, but it's almost like he invented the word first. Okay. Anyway.
So just something to expand your mind. Read some Shakespeare and don't be afraid. Take it to work and don't be afraid of being caught reading Shakespeare.
Okay.
No.
If that be so, then all is well. Okay, I'm turning it around. I thought you knew I had turned it around because that's a... Okay. Now we're going to sing Take Me Out to the Ball.
Now I'm going to go buy our weekly Sprouts rations.
Okay.
Whatever.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you for reading Shakespeare. My story was quite trivial and stupid, but... And you were reading Mickey Spillane while I was reading Shakespeare, right?
I was reading Mickey Spillane. Well, Kiss Me Deadly. I had just a moment before talking to a corpse. It was easy, I said.
That may be out of context way too much for me.
Anyway, thank you very much. I hope
It's gusty out here.
I hope you found that uplifting. Anyway, yes. Got a couple Shakespeare, one Shakespeare thing. I've done a lot because it concerns the Shakespeare Oracle. And so every once in a while I'll just pull it out and talk about that. Also, there's some of our lodge members, Carolyn Tilley in particular, was at Monday night class with all these Shakespeare things that we did at Monday night class and such. And Carolyn at the time was getting her master's degree in, actually it was like in, I don't know what the formal subject was, but it concerned her metallurgy and metal work. And she, as part of her master's thesis, made fabricated metal art pieces, metal and glass, and 10 art pieces based on the Tree of Life, and had an exhibition at the school there, Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach. And because it was based on the Cabala, part of her master's committee, she needed a Cabala, so-called Cabala expert on her master's committee. And all during the process, I would go to meetings with real professors and everything concerned. I was on her master's committee, in other words. And about the same time, she started really getting into gourmet cooking. And now she's a famous cookbook author, and she got a job at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. She was the food person at the LA Music Center, and I mean, whatever she does, she does world class. And she wanted to do a Cabala feast, invite members of Monday night class to her house, and she would do a 10-course Cabala dinner, one for every Sephora on the Tree of Life, and it was insanely good. And there was about a dozen of us that showed up, and just course after course. There was a course of Malkuth and Yesod, and every one of them just insanely good.
And afterwards, we just didn't know how to thank her for this unbelievable moment, magic moment in time. And so I took the famous Henry V scene where he arouses his troops. It's the eve of battle, and they're hopelessly outnumbered by the French, and everybody's all bummed out, and said, "Oh, if just 1/10 of the idiots back at home who sleep abed tonight were here with us, we might stand a chance tomorrow." And the soldiers were complaining. And Henry V seizes that opportunity, says, What are you talking about? And it's a very famous scene, and when you see people reenact Shakespeare's scenes, they always do that. And I've read this to you many times. I'm sure some of you are bored with it. But here's what I wrote for Carolyn Tilley. And in the real scene, it's the eve of St. Crispin's Day, the Feast of St. Crispin's. And this day was October 27th, 2001. This is 23 years ago. So I had to look up what feast day it was, because there's almost every day of the year is somebody's feast day. And it was Simon and somebody here, Simon and Jude Eve. But anyway, here's Lon and Henry V. A loving tribute to Miss Carolyn Tilley, in stunned gratitude for an exquisite evening of food and friendship by Archbishop Lon Milo DuQuette, with some help from William Shakespeare. So Rob Clough was there at this. Rob and Liesel, both were attendings. So I put Shakespeare's words in Rob's voice. Rob Clough says, "Oh, that we now had here but 1/10,000 of those Cabalists that gorge not themselves today." And Archbishop Lon says, "What's he that wishes so, my brother Rodcliffe? No, my fair brother, if we are marked to explode, we are now to do our order loss, and if to live, the fewer maws, the greater the share of victuals. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one more chair. By Jove, I'm not covetous of gold. I care not that my girth is held in ridicule. It yearns me not if men leave my tomes unread. Such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet rich foods and fine wine, I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my bro, wish not one more mouth. God's peace I would not lose so great a filling as one guest more, methinks, would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish for one more. Rather proclaim it, Rodcliffe, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this repast, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not glut in that man's company that fears his fellowship to stuff with us. This day is the eve of Saints Simon and Jude. He that outlives this day and comes safe home
will stand a tiptoe when the day is named and rouse him at the names Simon and Jude. He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow's the feast of Saint Simon and Jude. Then he will loosen his belt, pull up his shirt and shoe his stretch marks, and say, these wounds I had on Saint Simon and Jude's eve. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what delicacies he ate that day. Then our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Archbishop Lon, St. Constance of the Well, Leroy the Sage, and Troubadour Jane, their most excellent graces, Doug and Karen, Divine Fool Michael, Lady Sandy, and Queen Venita, Sir Rodcliffe and Damsel Liesel, Maestro Jonathan and Consort Leslie, Sean the Seer, and sweet Goddess Carrie, she to whom we surrender our palates, be there in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the fat man teach his son, and Saint Simon and Jude eve shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few. We band of drooling brothers and sisters, for them today that cram their guts with me shall be my kin. Be they ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle their condition. And Cabalists everywhere, now in hungered abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their gluttony cheap, whilst any speaks that dined with us upon Simon's and Jude eve. So there. Got one more Shakespeare thing, and it's an oracle, and you can take part in it because I'm going to do something. If you would treat in your mind, if you would treat Shakespeare as a divine oracle that you could ask a question to, I want you to think about what question you might ask. And when this is all over, in the hours that follow, you may feel free to share your findings here. It will be a Shakespeare oracle. You can ask one question. You might want to think about what that question is right now. Think about what that question is, and sort of have it in mind while I sort of read you this introductory material here. I made a Mark Twain oracle where I took 88 quotes from Tom Sawyer and made cards out of them, and constructed a little oracle where I could talk with Mark Twain. I could ask a question to the spirit of Mark Twain, if you will, and then I'd roll the dice to determine which of the cards I laid out in a grid I would read. And if the answer didn't immediately make sense, which it should have, but I'm not always that smart to interpret it, I'd keep asking, well, what do you mean by that? Oh, by this you mean? And then I'd choose another card and another card, and it just became almost scary that you'd get into a conversation with Mark Twain. Well, I premiered that at a Monday night class, and the very next week, Ann Quinn, one of our most brilliant class members, in the meantime made a Shakespeare oracle, with nothing but quotes from the Tempest, the magic thing, the Tempest. 1 week after I unveiled the Mark Twain oracle to our students, one of them, Miss Ann Quinn, came to class armed with an original oracle that works along similar lines, but speaks with the words of William Shakespeare's most magical play, The Tempest. Moreover, this student outdid us all by remembering the all-important fourth secret every fortune teller must know and understand, and that secret is the oracle is a superior intelligence. She created in Shakespeare's own words a most profound and dramatic prologue and epilogue to the consultation procedure itself. In other words, a ritual of opening and closing. These added touches ingeniously succeeded in putting us all in a mood to receive wise and witty answers to our questions from one of the most demonstrably superior intelligences that ever put pen to paper, the immortal bard himself. Miss Quinn has graciously allowed me to present her inspired oracle in this book. But make no mistake, even though a book of Shakespeare plays may be an ordinary item in many homes, this marvelous oracle is the most extraordinary treasure. Okay, Anne chose 36 quotes from the Tempest as oracular answers, and it's from these 36 that you're going to get your answer to your question. So once again, I will remind you, have your question in mind. I'm going to roll up the window for this. Okay. Here's what her opening was. Now, Anne is a dancer, okay, a professional dancer, especially flamenco. And if you're kind of familiar with the arm movements and the poise of a flamenco dancer, you'll sort of get a little idea of how she delivered this thing. She accompanied the words with the most graceful movements and gestures. She started by standing in the center of the room facing east towards Stratford-on-Avon. And she's doing no tongue, all eyes. This is all quotes from The Tempest. No tongue, all eyes, be silent. All hail, grave master, grave sir, hail. I come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride the curled cloud, to tread the ooze of the salt deep, to ride on the sharp wind of the north, to do me business in the veins of the earth. Come forth, I say. What seest thou else in the dark backward and abysm of time? Some oracle must rectify our knowledge. Ask your question. Now, I simply want you to choose a number between 1 and 36. First number that comes to your mind, between 1 and 36. Now, this is a chimera of the sun with numbers between 1 and 36. I'm just going to randomly poke a hole in one for my answer. My answer is number 43. And 43 34, I guess it must be 34 because there is nothing above 36. Oh God. I'll deliver all and promise you calm seas, auspicious gales, and sail so expeditious. I won't share my question, but I will share that is the answer I hope for. Okay, whatever number that you chose between 1 and 36, I'm going to quickly read these brief answers. If you chose 1, keep to your cabins, you do assist the storm. 2, use your authority. If you cannot, give thanks you have lived so long. 3, be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done. 4, be of comfort. Did you choose 5? You shall be as free as mountain winds. 6, be merry. You have cause for joy, for our escape is much beyond our loss. Did you choose number 7? You rub the sore when you should bring the plaster. Number 8, go to, away. 9, hence, and bestow your luggage where you found it. 10, my strong imagination sees a crown dropping upon your head. 11, thou lett'st thy fortune sleep. 12, oh, out of that no hope, what great hope have you? 13, oh, that you bore in mind that I do. What a sleep were this for your advancement. Did you choose 14? While you here do snoring lie, open eye conspiracy his time doth take. Whoa. 15, misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows. Did you choose 16? This is a very scurvy time. 17, this will shake your shaking. 18, you cannot tell who's your friend. 19, by this good light, this is a very shallow monster. 20, some kinds of baseness are nobly undergone, and most poor matters point to rich ends. 21, all the more it seeks to hide itself, the bigger bulk it shows. 22, but you'll lie like dogs, and yet say nothing neither. 23, did you choose 23? Bite him to death, I pray thee. 24, thou shalt be lord of it all. 25, be not afeared. 26, here's a maze trod indeed through forthrights and meanders. 27, all thy vexations were but trials of thy love, and thou hast strangely stood the test. 20, I'm going to say that again because that's just, I got to remember that. 27, if you chose 27. All thy vexations were but trials of thy love, and thou hast strangely stood the test. If you choose 28, thou liest. 29, well done, avoid, no more. Number 30, if you chose number 30 out of 36, I do smell all horse piss, at which my nose is in great indignation. 31, let them be hunted soundly. 32, at this time I will tell no tales. 33, I prophesied, if a gallows were on land, this fellow could not drown. 34, I'll deliver all and promise you calm seas, auspicious gales, and sail so expeditious. 35, my master through his art foresees the danger thou art in. And if you chose 36 out of 36, work not so hard. Anyway, that's our Shakespeare Oracle, our Shakespeare Talk Like Shakespeare Day parking lot visit. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you played along. If you chose a number, I hope you got a fortuitous, happy answer. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law.